guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Now I've been hard at work doing some mathematical equations, trying to figure out the best way to build your Hydra champions now for damage dealers. There's kind of like a common thing that we tend to do in the game, pretty much in any boss content. We automatically assume that probably Warmaster is going to be the best option, or if we've got a triple hit A1, we kind of go Giant Slayer, right? That's the default option you do. And someone approached me, one of the moderators, a very well-known person, kind of contacted me to say, hey, can you run the math? Because we're having a bit of a disagreement between Helmsmasher and Warmaster on champions even as crazy as Inquisitor Shamael. Now, obviously, that would have drawn a bit of a surprise even to me, because obviously we know by now, if you haven't used him before, Inquisitor Shamael has this unique ability on his A2, where if he has 3 buffs, he ignores defense. So what kind of value could you have for having Helmsmasher on him? Well, it all comes down to the ability to use things that don't ignore defense, like his A1 ability, and trying to find damage when decapitation effects are in place, and other things around the team. Now, I want to look at Michinaki in my team specifically, because I've always had the principle philosophy that one of the best things to do in Hydra is you stack Relentless gear and you just try and take as many turns as you can get. You know, you put Warmaster, and it's all about rotating your champions, going as fast as you can, getting as many turns. And I wonder now if actually, with all the new additional sets that we've had in the game, that we need to change our kind of modus operandum, our default setting. Now, this isn't going to apply to everyone who's watching this video. I will put that, and I will mention it as I go throughout this video. It won't apply to everyone. This is going to apply to certain types of builds, and it's going to require investment in this strategy. So where are we at with the concept? So right now we know, just as a bit of a summary, Warmaster, it deals maximum HP damage to the Hydra boss. The Hydra boss will cap it at 50,000. So it will always do 50,000, then it reduces that down based on the target's defense. So if you're trying to do it to a Suffering Head, the Warmaster proc is going to do a lot less damage to the Suffering Head because it has substantially more defense. So it's going to reduce it further. With Helmsmasher, we have a 25% ignore defense bonus on a 50% rate. Okay, that is the chance to do it. 50% at 25%, which is kind of on the same level as Warmaster. So whilst it's 10% less chance, it's pretty even. It's pretty consistent, right? So you're trading equal probability. So that's the first thing we want to check out. Now, any champion that has any sort of partial ignore defense already on the ability, well, stacking Helmsmasher is going to add to that bonus. Another champion that I'm currently looking at is Val the Destroyer. His A3 is very good. It ignores 30% of the target's defense. So if a Helmsmasher goes on top of that, it will go up to 55%, which is quite a lot. The other thing we're finding with a lot of the newer content, Amius, Shogun Grove, Sand Devil, the defense numbers are high. We are talking in the tens of thousands. So having the ability to just, instead of reducing the number, but ignoring the number, is considerably high value. So I've got a bit of a spreadsheet, and I'm going to try and make this, hopefully by the time I put this video out, into a better calculator, so you can kind of do a bit of an assessment to see if your build that you're comparing is going to work, just to show you the mathematical sort of reasoning behind this, and the kind of what I'm going to suggest. And this is where I'm going to say, this is where it's important to understand that it's not for everyone. This build works if you invest in ignore defense. You can't just put Helmsmasher in a build and expect it to be better than Warmaster. It is about investing in the concept of ignore defense. So just to take you through what we're going to be comparing, I've got Relentless and Perception on Michinaki. So I have no ignore defense. We're going to have a look at the build. It's 4.7k defense with 259%, but we do have area bonuses. So we're going to go up to 265% crit damage, and we do have some 6% innate ignore defense, right? That's in our area bonuses. That applies regardless. So that's the build, 4.7k, 265. That's what we're going to be comparing. At the moment, it's in Warmaster. I do have a result of a team that I'm using him in at the moment. Right now, he's sitting in this Hydra team, and I've run this Hydra team a few times now over the last few weeks, and he does do decent damage. I'm going to show you a result right now of the team that I'd ran before, just so you can see exactly how it's performing in his current build. So this is my run last week. You can see Michinaki right now is coming out at 59 million on Nightmare. Breathless Blademaster at 66.6, and then we have some supporting cast here as well. So I know this team can do a lot more because the Michinaki is just underpowered based on the math that we're going to look at right now. So what we have here is a spreadsheet that simulates a skill damage. We were doing this on stream. I'll put the pin of the VOD up in the top left corner. If you want to watch me produce and create this spreadsheet, it's pretty good if you want to see how I go about actually testing and formulating all these. I can plug in various different numbers and various different multipliers in here, and I can basically spin up this into like different versions so I can see how much damage it's going to do. We've got some different bonus effects here, like all the different masteries effects. We've got protection, and I can set how many protection bonuses I might have. We've got Heaven Cast, how many buffs. We've got Feral, we've got Gurptuk, and we've got Decapitation here as well as different multipliers. And then we've got all of the defensive numbers of the enemy. Now, obviously we can define some cruelty bonus here, so you could see if you had 20% cruelty, it would be good. My team is only going to have 5% cruelty, so that's what we're going to work it out on here, and we can hide all these away so we just have a very good kind of clean view. So we take these defense values here of all the different heads that we've got, and then we get a bit, at the moment, a damage reduction percentage. This is how much the damage will get reduced after we calculate all of our bonuses. So what I've got here is I've got my build. You can see I've put my base level of ignore defense, which is 6%. That's for my area bonuses. He's in Relentless. He's a defense-based damage dealer. We're going to get 4.7k defense. We're going to get 265% crit damage. I've got his multipliers. These are specific to Michinaki, his damage books, how many times he attacks, and then we've got the stat buff, increased defense here. We're going to put decreased defense and weaken on these heads as a good test. And then I've got them in just standard masteries. Heart of Glory, Bring It Down, Methodical. It's all I've got on here. I've got nothing else. A simple, straightforward damage test. So what is this going to mean? Well, basically when we hit a head of Torment, we'll start with the Torment head here. You can see the damage we're going to produce. Now, he is a double AoE. So if the Suffering head is currently out in a rotation, then we're going to take a big penalty of AoE damage. That's why I've got 48.97%. That assumes the Suffering head is alive. So therefore, it's like 30 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. It's not plus, it's multiplicative. You catch my drift. AoE damage is reduced. So we can kind of look at this damage here and go, okay, in his current build, if we were attacking a Torment head with decreased defense, we can increase defense on, then, and a fully stacked Methodical, because you're probably going to get that pretty quickly, then his A1 here is going to do about 85,000. Now, A1 for Michinaki is very important. Why? Because he counterattacks with his A1 all the time, and he joins any attacks of Mikage, so his A1 is really a big source of his damage. So we've got 85,000 here, so I can plug this number in over here so we can kind of compare it. Now, 85,438, and then we always get a Warmaster proc at the same time. Now, the way we can work out the Warmaster, it's going to cap at 50,000, so therefore it's going to take 50,000. We're going to then reduce that damage by the current damage reduction we've got here, which is 52%. And then we're going to multiply it by weaken. So we're going to get about 30,000 on top. Now, this number is important. This is the difference that we need to achieve. If Helmsmasher is going to be better than Warmaster, Helmsmasher needs to do more than this proc, which is 30,000. It needs to do more than 30,000. So right now, our combined damage here is going to be about 30,000. We can just put that number in here. So that's our combined damage count here right now. So if we were to apply a Helmsmasher proc in this same build without putting any sort of ignore defense, what would it compare? Well, it would basically be another 25%. So we can change our bonus ignore defense from 6% to 31%. That pushes it up to 102, 201. So you can see right now, the difference is not good. This would suggest that Helmsmasher is bad. Now we can apply the same bonuses to a decapitated moment. So if we decapitate the head and make it a 200% bonus, then we can see that this is going to be now 256, 290.23. Now, the thing with Warmaster, it does seem to gain some sort of bonus from the decapitation bonus. I don't know whether it's like the full times 3, which is a 200% bonus, but I'm going to assume it is. So it's going to gain about 90,000 here on top. So our current decapitation bonus will do something like 346,000. If we were to apply Helmsmasher, then that would take it up to 306. So you can see right now in his current build, if I was to just simply put Helmsmasher on, it wouldn't be very good. It would be terrible. We'd actually lose quite a significant amount of damage across the board. But here's where it really matters, and this is what I want to get home to people. The bigger the damage hit, the better the ignore defense, the better Helmsmasher becomes. The more you can invest in ignore defense is where Helmsmasher becomes really good. So let's just assume we have the same stats, but instead of relentless, we actually go to a savage cruel bonus, which is basically 30% bonus on top. Okay, so let's just put it back to a standard non-decapitated moment. And we can basically put it into here. Now, Warmaster will still happen on Savage Cruel. We'll gain a little bit from the Ignore Defense. I'm not sure if Warmaster actually benefits from set Ignore Defense. I know it definitely benefits from the area bonus. So we're going to assume that it does. So we'll just take off the decapitation bonus here. So in this instance, now we'll probably be doing a 37.3k Warmaster hit. And our hit here is going to be a 106,090 plus 37,313. So that's going to give us 143,000 damage hit. But when I add Helmsmasher on top of this, well, that's going to push us to 61% ignore defense. That's going to actually get us to 128,757.54. Still not better at the moment. Still not better. It's still a bit low. Let's add in decapitation. And now we're going to basically bring this back down to 6%. So Savage Cruel, without any sort of ignore any benefits here, we're going to basically put it in here. Now it's going to do 318,272 plus 37,000. And then we need to multiply this by 3. Again, I don't know. I don't think it multiplies by 3. It does something weird. I really need to dig into it more. I'm just assuming the best case scenario for a Warmaster proc. That takes us up to 430. If we then go to a 31% ignore defense here, we would do 386. So right now, this current build is not producing enough damage because we're only at 30%. But here's where it gets more interesting. Let's just assume we're not hitting a ×3. Well, Warmaster drops down significantly then if it doesn't get the same level of bonuses from the decapitation effect. I've seen it do more than 50,000, but that simply could just be weaken. It could just be the way that it's working, that weaken is just happening to make it like higher damage. I don't really know. I need to drill into it more, but let's just assume it doesn't do that. Well, this does start getting more interesting. And there is a world now where you can go towards merciless and cruel, which is actually 40%, which gets you up to now 71%. So you can start seeing we're growing this A1. It is now going up to 418,626. And then if you actually had area bonuses that were more than 6%, right? Mine's only at 6%. If you actually said, maybe I've got 10%, right? So it's 35%. Well, now it's going up to 432. And you're growing and growing this bit by bit up to the point. Now, obviously the area bonuses would compare linearly to Warmaster. But the difference is if I put this back without the Helmsmash and I just put it to the area bonuses, we're only doing 354241 here. So you can see we're actually not gaining as much because you're investing further. Now, if you happen to have Crushing Rend, you're going to gain 31% on top. So if you have 10% area bonus and then you have Crushing Rend, it's 31%, and you have Helmsmasher, which is 25%, you can basically go 0.1 plus 0.31 because the bosses on Nightmare are level 310, so it's 31%, and then you add 0.25. Now you're doing true damage. And this is where I really want to get to. Investing in ignore defense is where Helmsmasher gets stronger. If you have a 6-star Crushing Rend, you should 100% always go Helmsmasher because with your area bonuses, with a good cruel set, I mean, you don't even need Merciless 6 here, you can go Savage Cruel and then get a little bit more area bonus. Right? You can get yourself up to very, very high numbers. Remember when we started this, and just to compare the build right now, let's just say I'm not all the way up with Crushing Rend because my Michinaki doesn't have that. We've got sort of 35% here. We've got 0. We just basically got a standard Savage Cruel build. This is about 398,825. Compared to my current build, that is nearly 100,000 more damage. So that's a big increase, 25% damage increase. And the key thing is you want to be decapitating heads more often. That's how it can work. It also massively improves Suffering Head. Because the Suffering Head happens to be a very high defense, then we're able to scale this much harder. So you can see right now in a Savage Cruel build with just 10% area bonuses and 25%, we can go to 249,983. And if we were to try and do this with the Ignore Defense bonus of Suffering, which is about 53% in this build, it would be instead, which we take off Helmsmasher, about 164,376. and then it would be only 183. So you can see with actually the Sephiroth head, you're increasing the damage further because it's got more defense. The higher the defense, the better it's going to increase your value. So what I'm trying to showcase here is the way that Helmsmasher works with other forms of ignore defense. If you can get lots and lots of ignore defense combining together, Helmsmasher will output more damage than Warmaster because we are going to create a bigger gap. You can see the gap here is quite significant. We're talking 180 to 250,000, 70,000 more damage. It's a very big difference. And this is in an average build. If you start scaling it more, if you had, for example, Heavencast enabled, then that will obviously increase your damage further. That is going to scale the multiplier greater. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to rebuild my Michinaki and put him into a Helmsmasher high ignore defense build and try and see what is going to compare with the key that I did before. So I've rebuilt Michinaki into a lethal cruel build. So that gives me 30% bonus ignore defense here on top of my 6% ignore defense. And then we have now got a new mastery tree, including Helmsmasher. I'll probably go and get Retribution as one of the final ones. We always just want to keep A1ing. And then I'll probably just get something like Stoke to Fury. I don't really want to take Deterrence because I don't want him counterattacking on the Torment head, ideally. Now, a big boost of damage will come at rank 3. We'll get 600 more defense. And then, obviously, I've got a lot of little improvements. It's actually quite nice that we've got defense, defense, and defense. So the top row has rolled really well. We do need to switch this over to like a speed or a defense percentage. And ideally, this needs to be defense percentage as well. This being sort of on accuracy is actually okay because we might need some bonus ones, but that could always be swapped over as well. That's roll defense. So I've got like probably about 500 to 600 more defense to come. The final build at the moment is 5.3k defense. So we've increased our defense, 249% crit damage. It's a little bit slow at 233 speed, but I can gain some more speed. Plus we have that 6% ignore defense. Now I just want to simulate and show you exactly what I mean about this sort of Helmsmasher. So we've got right now in here, this is my Shogun team. I have put Helmsmasher on my 6-star Whisper. Now we can test this out here. We can run my team. This team pretty much is my main farming team, but the Whisper down here is the one that's got Helmsmasher. So this is what we want to watch here. This Whisper here right now. So we're going to basically do the A3. If the first hit hits Helmsmasher, it does a bit more. We didn't quite get a Helmsmasher proc there, unfortunately. So we're going to have to go and wait for the second rotation for us to see how much it actually works. We'll just rotate back around here. And then just let the other Whisper do her stuff. And hopefully we're going to get a Helmsmasher proc here on this ability. We didn't either. Normally if there's a Helmsmasher proc, it does about 300,000 damage. So you can really see the difference there. 447,000 A1 because of the Helmsmasher proc. So it's absolutely really good when you get to these bosses with extremely high defenses, if you can really stack it. And because she's got Crushing Rend, obviously we're clearing it out really quickly. So that's just a simulation, an example of how it works. So I can run my Nightmare team now on my new rebuilt Michinaki here. We're going to use this, use the Aura. All the rest of these champions are pretty much built in some form or fashion. They're really good to go. The only one that I kind of need to sort is changing up the blessings a little bit, because really I think Michinaki would be better in Heavencast in this team. So we do have a bit of a difficult setup with this team. We do need to land a burn on this first head when Michinaki does his thing, which is great. There we go. That's what we really need. And then we kind of need to land the provoke, but she's weak hit. So it's a little bit of a difficult setup this particular rotation because Archer is weak affinity, which is typical when you build a new team and then the rotation changes to be very awkward. But we absolutely need to get burn on this head so that we can kill the head quickly and then remove the poison clouds, because there's no block buffs in this team. But it's fine to operate without block buffs. We just have to make sure that we have a good setup here, which sometimes can require a few runs, especially when Michinaki doesn't want to land his burn, which is incredibly frustrating. Okay, so we've got our setup here now, which is really good. Now it's really about how quickly can we kill this head using our sort of boosted Michinaki damage. So we've got Hex out on everyone. Thanks to the Nirgigante Archer, we can apply some decreased defense, which is great. And you'll see this is where Heavencast is kind of a dream. There is so many buffs. There's so many abilities on this team. So really all we need to do now is kill this head as quickly as possible so that we can remove the poison cloud. If we can't remove the poison cloud, it becomes a bit of a problem. Now, the only downside to this team as well is Michinaki in this current rotation is weak affinity to the poison cloud head. It is always fun, but let's see how far we can get there. I'm just going to speed it through now until I kill this head. Okay, so we have a decapitated head going on here now. It's still weak affinity, which is very frustrating, but we could hopefully start seeing some good damage numbers here once we get this set up. We get some decreased defense out. Let's just whack this head now. Let's see what we get. It's about 48,000 a weak hit, very unhelpful. We do get a nice Rathalos attack there. And obviously every time Mikage is going to take a turn, it will help us. It'll give us those ally attacks, which is really nice. Not really a good test when he's weak affinity here, but it'll do the job for us. We did not land the provoke again on that head on the right, which is really unhelpful. We've hit weak affinity every single time we've tried to hit this head. Maybe we can get one without weak affinity. No, we can't. Great concept, this rotation. But there we go. Let me get another decapitated head. We can actually see if we can simulate the damage output. Okay, so we've managed to get some decapitation. The torment head is a bit of a problem here, so it's probably going to stop us from being able to do anything, which is very fun. So I would imagine that we're going to have another situation. There we go, 399,000. That's kind of what I wanted to showcase. So now what we want to do is keep smashing this head for the duration of what we can do here, and hopefully we can get some damage output. So I'm going to run this team all the way through to the end now, and then I'm going to bring it back, and we're going to see what the difference is versus that one key. It's very difficult to compare Hydra key on key, because you never know what kind of bad situations you run into, what kind of RNG you get. Right now, if I get more Torment heads, this team will slow down a bit, because Torment is not really a great solution here. We'll see what it does. And there we have it. The team is complete here. So we can see I managed to get to about 48 minutes. We kind of fell apart right at the end, because this rotation is really bad for the Nergigante Archer. It is weak affinity to the Provoke head, which is what you never want your Provoker to be. And also the Torment head can cause quite a lot of problems if the Poison Cloud comes up in the awkward situation. Michinaki happens to be weak affinity to the Poison Cloud head as well, so it's really awkward. But we can see that Michinaki's damage now is up to 70.6 million, and it's in less time. Is in less turns. The last one was about 55 minutes. This is 48 minutes, so we've increased our overall damage. He's still not quite beating Blademaster, but I did get a Stars Align moment with Blademaster where I managed to get all of the heads defeated, so I managed to get a good 7 million, 8 million damage hit, which is really a big deal. Nergigante Archer continues to be an absolute god in Hydra, the amount of healing it outputs. You can see pretty much, apart from Alatri and Blademaster's A2, the only healing I have in this team is that Nergigante Archer. So 70 million damage on Michinaki. It can go higher once we finish optimizing in a better rotation, but we're going to keep this result. We've got to get this in before Hydra Clash resets, because I'm recording this quite late in the day. So the takeaways here: if you've got Crushing Rend, or you have any champion with some sort of basic level of Ignore Defense, and then you put a very good Ignore Defense set on them, I actually think that Helmsmasher here is going to deal more damage. Right now you can see Val's in Warmaster. Most of my champions get put in Warmaster. I think Helmsmasher is the way to go, and I'm going to be building all of my Hydra damage dealers in Helmsmasher, because the value of being able to ignore even further of the defense and getting really close to that true damage potential is incredibly high. It is very, very good. So there you go, guys. Helmsmasher versus Warmaster, a debate that has been raging for a very long time. I definitely think it's going to be really good for Hydra. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Have you been running this strategy already and it's just as a secret that you've been keeping to yourself? Or will you be rebuilding some of your champions into this combo? Like I said earlier in the video, you need to invest fully in the concept. So that means Ignore Defense sets, Area Bonus Ignore Defense, and the Helmsmasher. You have to have all three together, ideally with Crushing Rend. If you get Crushing Rend with it, your damage can go astronomically high. It could go incredibly high. So there we go, guys. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next video.